بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله وسلامه عليه أما بعد يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار ثم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we continue going over this tremendous book by the Fadilatul Shaykh Al-Allama Shaykh Salih Al-Fawzan Hafidhahullah Ta'ala. That book that is entitled Kitab Aqeedatut Tawheed, the book of the Aqeedah of Tawheed. We have reached the chapter that speaks about an-nifaq, hypocrisy. And just like in the previous chapters, the Shaykh Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he comes at it from the standpoint an-nifaq ta'rifuhu wa anwa'uh, hypocrisy, the definition of it and its categories. Hypocrisy, its definition and its categories. The Shaykh Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he begins and he says, Ta'rifu, the definition of an-nifaq, or what is translated as hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. Lughatan, inside of the Arabic language, this word an-nifaq is the masdar. The masdar, or what they will call the verbal noun for nafaqa. Yuqal nafaqa yunafiqu nifaqan. This will be the tasrif of this verb nafaqa. So in Arabic language, again, the tasrif for this verb nafaqa, it will be nafaqa yunafiqu nifaqan. Naam. طيب. Also, the masdar could be munafaqatan. Munafaqatan. نعم. وهو مأخوذ من النافقاء. النافقاء. نعم. And what this word means, or its derivative, it means أحد المخارج ليربوع من حجره. It is one of the exits for what's called al-yarbu'. Al-yarbu', this is translated as a jerboa. Naam, a jerboa. The jerboa, it is a desert rodent. Naam, it's a desert rodent. And its it has a number of holes that it builds. Now, a number of holes that it builds that leads down to its tunneling and its burrow system. Now, and one of the holes, one of the exits, then it's called an-nafaqa. An-nafaqa. This is the name of one of the holes. Now, it utilizes these holes, as the Shaykh explains, فَإِنَّهُ إِذَا طُلِبَ مِنْ مَخْرَجٍ هَرَبَ إِلَى الْآخَرِ. If an animal who preys upon this jerboa, if he tries to get him from one hole, he runs down into the hole and he comes out from another side. Now, you understand? Like other animals that live in these type of holes where they have multiple holes where they come out of. You try to get him from one, he goes down, he comes out another one. Like the prairie dog, I believe, he acts in a similar fashion. You try to get it from one hole, come out the other hole. You try to get it from that hole, it runs out, it comes out a third hole. You try to get it from the third hole, it runs out, it comes out the fourth hole, and so on and so forth. So these holes is called nafaqa. Nafaqa. Now, this is the name of these holes in which it escapes from. So some of the grammarians, they say that the word nafaqa, this verb, then it stems and it's extracted from this word, which is used to mean the names of the holes in which this jarbo or yarbu', this desert rodent, it will escape from. فَخَرَجَ مِنْهُ. So the Shaykh, he says, if you try to get it from one hole, it comes out another hole, فَخَرَجَ مِنْهُ. Then it runs away from that hole. وَقِيلَ, and it's been said, هُوَ مِنْ نَثَقٍ. It is from النَّثَقٍ. And النَّثَقٍ هُوَ سِرْبُ الَّذِي يَسْتَتِرُ فِيهِ. النَّثَقٍ, it is a barrel that an animal, it will hide itself in. It is a barrel, a subterranean barrel, a barrel that's underground, that an animal, he will hide itself in. So it's that in which the animal will hide itself in. So linguistically, this is where the word an-nifaq comes from. Linguistically, this is from where the word an-nifaq, it comes from. And when one reflects upon the nature of the hypocrites, then he will see the correlation why this particular word is utilized to articulate them and their state. Why this word is used to articulate them and their state. With regards to the meaning of an-nifaq fi shara', the meaning of an-nifaq inside of the legislation or the legislative meaning for an-nifaq. And it's important, I want everyone to really pay attention to this, because in the English language we have a concept and an understanding for hypocrisy. That although it may share a shade of what is understood from the word nifaq, it is very important to understand exactly what nifaq is, because it is very dangerous to say to a Muslim, you are a hypocrite. That's very dangerous. To say to a Muslim, you are a hypocrite, is very dangerous. Why? You'll see now from the definition of an-nifaq. An-nifaq, idharul islam wal khair wa ibtanul kufr wa shar. The legislative meaning for nifaq is to show Islam and to show good. To show Islam and to show good. Right? So that what's apparent from your actions is Islam and good and so on and so forth. But at the same time, that person, he is hiding and concealing disbelief and evil. So he's showing this good, he's showing this Islam, but inside of his heart, he's a kafir. He don't believe in Islam. He's acting in ways that are good and so on and so forth, but internally, inside of his heart, this person, he's evil. He's evil. So now we see the danger, because if you say to a Muslim, you are a hypocrite, then what you're saying is what? You acting like you're a Muslim, but you're not really a Muslim. You acting like you're upon good, but really you're not upon good in your heart. So in essence, what are you doing? You're saying to that Muslim that what? You are a kafir. You're making takfir on that person. Because a munafiq, he's what? He's a hypocrite. And a hypocrite is what? Is a disbeliever. Naam. The munafiq, he is a kafir. Remember when we went over the categories of kufr? Remember in last week's class? One of the categories of kufr was what? Kufr nifaq. The disbelief of what? Nifaq. Hypocrisy. Naam. But we're talking about hypocrisy in what? In the shari'i sense of the word, with the legislative definition. With the legislative definition. Not the definition that comes from any type of English dictionary, no. But the definition as it comes in the sharia. In the sharia. Naam. So that's why we got to be very careful in saying somebody is a hypocrite. طيب? The Shaykh Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he says, سُمِيَ بِذَلِكَ لِأَنَّهُ يَدْخُلُ فِي الشَّرْعِ مِنْ بَابٍ وَيَخْرُجُ مِنْهُ مِنْ بَابٍ آخَرٍ. The Shaykh, he says that they have been called hypocrites or munafiqun, and their state has been called nifaq. Why? Because they enter into the sharia from one door and they exit out of the sharia from another door. Right? And I remind you of what? Of that animal, that yarbu'. It comes in from one hole, come out from another hole. So we see the correlation of why it was named as such. But the Shaykh Hafidhullah Ta'ala says because they come into the sharia, they come into Islam from one door and they exit it from another door. The Shaykh, he says, وَعَلَى ذَلِكَ نَبَّهُ اللَّهُ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى بِقَوْلِهِ. He said, and upon this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has warned and He has drawn attention to these ones inside of His statement, or He has highlighted the reality of these people inside of His statement, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. That verily, the munafiqun, they are the fasiqun. That verily, the munafiqun, they are the fasiqun. And we're going to see here why it is important for everybody, and I keep stressing this, and I'm talking to myself first and foremost. We have to learn Arabic so that we can understand correctly. We have to learn Arabic. A lot is lost in translation. So much so, to be honest with you, I really don't even like saying the word hypocrite. Because of the use from the Webster dictionary is so ingrained inside of English speaking people that a lot of times this is what comes to mind, and it doesn't necessarily fully articulate what we're talking about. Now, but the munafiq, remember, because that yarubur, that animal, it when you try to get it flees out, it comes out from another hole. As the Shaykh explains, that they enter Islam from one door and they exit Islam from another door. Right? They exit Islam from another door. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He makes it clear, and He brings our attention to this fact that they have actually exited the deen of al-Islam. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to them as fasiqun. You understand? This is why Allah ta'ala, He refers to the munafiqun as what? Fasiqun. Because fisq, the word fisq inside of the lugha, it means khuruj. Khuruj means what? To exit. So the word fisq, it means to exit. So those who are fasiqun, they are those who have what? They're upon fisq. Meaning they what? They have exited out of the sharia. They have left the sharia, exit out the sharia. So the Shaykh, he says, kharijuna min ash-shara', meaning that they have gone away from the sharia. They have exited the sharia. Meaning they have exited al-Islam. You understand? So when we look back to this ayat now, innal munafiqina humul fasiqun, that verily the munafiqeen, or verily the munafiqun, verily they are the fasiqun. Then we understand what's meant by that is that verily the hypocrites, they have left Islam. That's what we understand from the ayah. That verily the hypocrites, they have left Islam. Naam. And this is why the Arabic language is important, because without being able without having a grasp of the Arabic language, then the likes of these things will be lost to us. Naam. So it's important that we learn the Arabic language. But as a side point, we want to highlight, we don't want anyone to understand that just by way of the Arabic language you will understand the Qur'an. We don't want anyone to understand that. Naam. But you'll find that the Arabic language is a tool by way in which you need to, that will help you and aid you and assist you to understand the Qur'an. Naam. But it's not the all for all. We will understand the Qur'an because what? Because the Qur'an yufassir al-Qur'an wa the Sunnah tufassir al-Qur'an. Because the Qur'an will give explanation for other portions of the Qur'an, and the Sunnah will give tafsir to what? To the Qur'an. And then we look to what? To the Sahaba, Naam, to their tafsir, right? And then the tafsir of the A'imma and so on and so forth. And then the last thing that we look at is what? Is the Arabic language. The last thing we look at is the Arabic language. But in any event, that which will give you access to the aforementioned steps before you get to the Arabic language is what? The Arabic language. Because the Qur'an is in what? Lugha al-Arabiyyah. Naam, the Sunnah is in what? Lugha al-Arabiyyah. Naam, the aqwal of the Salaf, they in what? Lugha al-Arabiyyah. So that which gives us access, right, to that which will give us tafsir of the Qur'an is in Arabic language. So we have to have a command of the Arabic language so that we can understand that. But then at the very, very end is what? Is the Arabic language. That's the tool you go to at the end after you have gone through the other steps. So we want to make it clear what is meant by the encouragement to learn the Arabic language is that it is a tool by way in which it will give us access to understanding the guidance. It's a means, it's not an end. It's a means, it's not an end. The end is to have proper understanding of the Kitab and the Sunnah. That's the end. But the Arabic language is a means towards that. طيب. على كل حال. So the Shaykh he goes on and he says, وَجَعَلَ اللَّهَ الْمُنَافِقِينَ شَرًّا مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. And Allah Ta'ala, He has made the munafiqun that they are worse than the kuffar. The munafiqun, they are worse than the kuffar. Granted, the munafiqun, they themselves are kuffar. You understand? But they are a different type of kuffar. So the type of kuffar that's a munafiq, he's worse than what? Than a straight up kafir. Because a straight up kafir, it is going to tell you straight up that they're Jew, they're Christian, they're Rastafarian, they're 5%er, they're Buddhist, Hindu, whatever. They tell you straight up. They're clear, they're open with it. Right? Whereas the munafiq, he's a kafir in reality, but then he comes to the Muslim and try to act like he's Muslim. So he's what? He's a worse type of kafir. He's worse than that kafir that's straight up with his kufr. Because now you know to be on your guard from him. You understand? This one, what they say, it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. So this one, you think he's part of the flock, but really he's a predator. He's trying to destroy it. You understand? So they're worse. So therefore, because they're worse, then their reward or their punishment is worse. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ. That verily the hypocrites, they are in the lowest level of the fire. They are in the lowest level of the fire. And this ayah, it can be found in Surah An-Nisa, and it's verse 145. Now, in the ayah before that verily the munafiqun, they are the fasiqun, or verily inna munafiqina humul fasiqun. Then this can be found in Surah At-Tawbah, and it's verse 67. Surah At-Tawbah, verse 67. وقال الله سبحانه وتعالى, and Allah Ta'ala, He informs us about the hypocrites and how they act and how they are and why they are just the worst. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us about them. Allah Ta'ala, He says, إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهِ وَهُوَ يُخَادِعُهُم. That verily the munafiqun, they try to fool Allah, they try to deceive Allah, but it is Allah who fools them. Naam. And this ayah can be found in Surah Nisa, and it's verse 142. وقال الله سبحانه وتعالى يخادعون الله والذين آمنوا وما يخدعون إلا أنفسهم وما يشعرون في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا ولهم عذاب أليم بما كانوا يكذبون. Allah Ta'ala, He says, what means, and they, the hypocrites, they try to deceive Allah and those who believe, but in reality they only deceive themselves while they perceive it not. Inside of their hearts is a disease, so Allah has increased their disease. You see, because al-jaza min jins al-amal, because the punishment will be appropriate for the crime. Because they put a disease inside their hearts, then Allah increased their disease. You understand? They put the disease inside their hearts. They had the diseased hearts because they had inside of their hearts nifaq. So because they had this nifaq inside their heart, Allah Ta'ala, He increased for them their disease. And Allah Ta'ala, He says, and for them there will be a most grievous and painful chastisement because of what they used to lie about. Na'am bima kanu yakdhibun. They used to lie. They used to lie and say they were believers when they didn't believe. You understand? But we see the despicable nature of the munafiqun, The Shaykh Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he moves on to the types of nifaq. The types of an-nifaq. The Shaykh, he says, an-nifaq naw'an. An-nifaq is two types. النوع الأول, the first type, النفاق الاعتقادي. It's the nifaq of al-i'tiqad, meaning the nifaq of belief. النفاق الاعتقادي, the nifaq of belief. The definition, or what that is, to further clarify, هو النفاق الأكبر الذي يظهر صاحبه الإسلام ويبطن الكفر. He said it is the great and major nifaq, where the munafiq, he acts like he is a Muslim, he shows Islam, and he hides his disbelief. وهذا النوع مخرج من الملة من الدين بالكلية. And this type, it will expel a person from the religion in totality. بالكلية. It will expel a person from the religion in totality. وصاحبه في الدرك الأسفل من النار. And this one, he will be inside of the lowest portion of the fire. وقد وصف الله أهله بصفات الشر كلها. And Allah, He has described the people who have this type of nifaq with the worst of descriptions, all of the worst descriptions. من الكفر, from their disbelief, وعدم الإيمان, and they're not having any type of iman, واستهزاء بالدين وأهله, and for them making fun of the religion and for the people of the religion, وسخرية منهم, and for their scorn and their mockery of the people of the religion, والميل بالكلية إلى أعداء الدين, and for their leading in totality to the enemies of the deen, ولمشاركتهم لهم في عداوة الإسلام, and they're sharing and how would you say, and they're having it in common and also sharing with the enemies of the deen in their hatred of al-Islam and in their enmity for the deen of al-Islam. So one reflects over these characteristics, he finds these are despicable and worse characteristics. The Shaykh says, هؤلاء موجود في كل زمان. The Shaykh says that these ones, they are present in every time. You will have hypocrites, they're present in every time. Now, the Shaykh Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he says, لا سيما عندما تظهر قوة الإسلام. He said, especially in those times where Islam is strong, where the Islam is strong. ولا يستطيعون مقاومته في الظاهر, and they're not able to oppose it openly. فإنهم يظهرون الدخول فيه, so they act like they enter into al-Islam لأجل الكيد له ولأهله في الباطن. And this is because they are seeking, or they enter into Islam as a deception, as part of their plot, as part of their plan against the deen of Al-Islam and against the people of Al-Islam. This is from their, they figure they will enter into Islam and try to destroy it from the inside. They will try to destroy it from the inside. The Shaykh, he says, وَلِأَجْلِ أَنْ يَعِيشُوا مَعَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. And also, because some of them do it because they just want to live amongst the Muslims. وَيَأْمَنُوا عَلَى دِمَائِهِمْ وَأَمْوَالِهِمْ. And they want to save their blood and they want to save their money. فَيُظْهِرُ الْمُنَافِقِ إِيمَانَهُ بِاللَّهِ وَمَلَائِكَتِهِ وَكُتُبِهِ وَالرُّسُلِ وَيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَهُوَ في الباطن نعم وهو في الباطن منسلخ من ذلك كله مكذب به لا يؤمن بالله ولا يؤمن بأن الله تكلم بكلام أنزله على بشر جعله رسولا للناس يهديهم بإذنه وينظرهم بأسه ويخوفهم عقابه. وقد هتك الله أسرار هؤلاء المنافقين وكشف أسرارهم في القرآن الكريم وجلى لعباده أمورهم ليكونوا منها ومن أهلها على الحذر. The Shaykh Hamdullah Ta'ala, he says that these hypocrites, because they want to safeguard their blood and their money, or because they're trying to destroy Islam from the inside, from internally, they act like they believe in Allah in the last day. They act like they believe in Allah and inside of His angels and His books and His messengers and in the last day. But internally and in reality, they are totally detached from that. And they are lying because they do not believe in Allah, nor do they believe that Allah has spoken with speech in which He has revealed upon a human being, and thus made that human being His messenger, a messenger to mankind, to guide them by Allah's permission, and to warn them of the punishment and of the harm that will come to them if they disobey, and to strike fear inside of them and make them scared of Allah's punishment. So thus Allah Ta'ala, He has removed their hiding. He has ripped down their covering of these hypocrites, and He has exposed them, exposed their secrets inside of the Qur'an, and He has exposed them to His servants so that they are aware of their affair, so that they may be upon guard from them, and so that they may be upon guard from nifaq. Naam. When one reflects upon all of this, he realizes that what goes on with the hypocrite, these are all things that take place internally, inside of his heart. And this goes back to one of the earlier statements in the class about the danger of calling a Muslim a hypocrite, or calling a Muslim a munafiq. Why? Because in order to have knowledge of such, then you will have to be able to look inside of a man's chest. And we don't have the ability to do that. So you can't call a person a munafiq, because you don't know what's inside his heart. You don't know he just acting like he a Muslim, but inside of his chest, he really don't believe in Al-Islam. You don't know that. Nah? So it's dangerous to say that. We're not allowed to say the likes of these things. So be very careful in what you say. Be very careful in what you say. The Shaykh Hafidhullah Ta'ala goes on and he says, وَذُكِرَ ضَوَائِفْ الْعَالَمِ الثَّلَاثَةِ في أول البقرة, and that it has been mentioned in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah 3 types of the human beings. In Surah Al-Baqarah, 3 categories of the human beings that have been mentioned. Al-Mu'mineen, the believers. In the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, in the beginning, Allah Ta'ala has mentioned 3 types of human beings: the believers, the kuffar, the believers, the kuffar, and the munafiqun. The believers, the kuffar, and the munafiqun. Naam. The Shaykh Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he says, or actually, this is from the Kalam of Imam Ibn Qayyim, Rahimahullah Ta'ala. He says, وذكر في المؤمنين أربع آيات. That in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah Ta'ala, He mentioned the believers with 4 verses. 4 verses. Naam. وفي الكفار, and for the straight up kafir, آيتين, 2 verses. Right? وفي المنافقين 13 آية. But for the hypocrites, 13 verses. 13 verses. Naam. The Imam Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he says, لكثرتهم وعموم الابتلاء بهم وشدة فتنتهم على الإسلام وأهله. He says 13 verses. This is due to their multitudes and due to the general trial and destructive nature of them and their calamity, and due to the severity of their fitna upon Islam and upon the people of Al-Islam. فَإِنَّ بَلِيَّةُ الْإِسْلَامِ بِهِمْ شَدِيدٌ جِدًّا. Because the calamity upon Islam, the musibah, the calamity upon Islam from the munafiqun is tremendous indeed. It's tremendous. لأنهم منسوبون إليه وإلى نصرته وموالاته وهم أعداؤه في الحقيقة. Because they are those who are ascribed to Islam. So thus the one who is ascribed to Islam is the one who he will be looked upon for what? For his aid, for his loyalty, right? To the deen and to the people of the deen. This is how it's looked upon him. This is his PR. This is his public representation or whatever. Now, is that this is a Muslim. He's supposed to want to support the deen, want to have loyalty for the deen and so on and so forth. But in reality, they're what? They're enemies to the deen. They're enemies to the deen. You understand? Just from a PR standpoint. Think of how much havoc a munafiq can cause. And the people start saying, oh, you see how the Muslims is, you see how they are, and so on and so forth. When the one who was a perpetrator of this action is what? Is a munafiq. In reality, he's what? He's kafir. He's not Muslim. Wallah musta'an. The Imam Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he says, يُخْرِجُونَ عَدَاوَتَهُ فِي كُلِّ قَالِبٍ. He said, and you find that these hypocrites, they will bring out and they will express their enmity and their hatred at every turn, every opportunity. Every time they get a chance, they try. You know how they say, we got the saying and say, he tried to throw every shot in he could. This is how they are. Any opportunity they get, they try. Their adawa, their hatred and their enmity, it comes out and they express it. When you look jahid and an ignorant person, now he'll think annahu ilmun wa islahun. Ignorant person, he'll think, oh, what this person is doing is based upon knowledge. What this person is doing is based upon reform and so on and so forth. Now, be a hypocrite as they have done to incite wars and conflicts and so on and so forth, and under this banner as looked upon from the ignorance. Oh, this is from knowledge. You did it based upon knowledge. It's a really good reason. Or this is to reform a situation and so on and so forth. Where the munafiq, his intent is not reform. His intent is destabilization. That's his intent. He don't care about no reform. He wants to destabilize. He wants to make it weak, and so on and so forth. So the Shaykh, he says, or the Imam, rahmatullah alayh, he says they bring it from the standpoint, this is ilm, this is islah. He said, وَهُوَ غَايَةُ الْجَهْلِ وَالْإِفْسَادِ. He said they bring it, and they thinking, the ignorant one, he thinking that it is reform and that this is knowledge and reform. He said, but in reality, it is the epitome of ignorance and the epitome of corruption. The epitome of corruption. Naam. The Shaykh Abdullah Ta'ala, he goes on and he mentions, he says, وَهَذَا النِّفَاقِ سِتَّةُ أَنْوَاءٍ. He said, and this type of hypocrisy is of 6 types. Meaning that what? Nifaqul Akbar is of 6 types. The first one, takdeeb al-Rasul. It is their beliement of the messenger. They don't believe in the messenger. Nah. But again, for the munafiq, this is where? Inside his heart. Because on his limbs, he act like he believes. But in his heart, he don't believe. The second type, the Shaykh says, takdeebu ba'd ma ja'a bihi al-Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, it is their belying, or their beliement of some of that in which the Messenger ﷺ he has brought. I want you to understand, listen to this now. For these ones, this second type, they only belie some of what the Prophet ﷺ brought. They don't believe in some of what he brought. You understand? That's dangerous, right? Because how many people you got like that? Who claim in Islam, but then they tell you, oh, but you know, I don't believe Sharia is the solution. I think the solution is democracy or socialism or communism or so on and so forth. You know, or they'll tell you, oh, I don't believe in the hijab. A woman should have to cover. I don't believe in that. You know, this is a modern time. I think that's from the old days. That's outdated. This, that, and this. I don't believe a man gotta have a beard right now. That's from the old days. That's outdated. So on and so forth. Naam. Or yeah, whatever the case may be. I don't believe it. That's dangerous. It's dangerous. Naam. It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. The third type, the Shaykh he mentions, he says, Bughd Rasul, or to hate the messenger, to have hatred for the messenger. Naam. Or Bughd bi ba'd, or Bughd ba'd ma ja'a bihi ar-Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or to hate some of that in which the messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam he has brought. To hate some of what the messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has brought. And remember when we went over An-Nawaqid al-Islam, remember that last year? We went through An-Nawaqid al-Islam. One of the Nawaqid was what? Was to hate the aspect of what? Of the Sharia. To hate some of that in which the Prophet ﷺ he has brought. So now we have a more broad understanding to realize that what? This is from Nifaq. This is from the types of Nifaq Akbar, the major Nifaq. Or the Shaykh he says, Al-Musarratu bil-Khifaq Deen al-Islam, or their happiness with the degradation and decline of the Deen of al-Islam. They like to see the Muslims become humiliated. They like to see the Muslims debased, and so on and so forth. They become happy. This is from what? This is from major Nifaq. Or the sixth type is Karahiyya Intisaru Deen al-Islam, or they hate to see the Deen of Islam gain victory. They hate it. They hate to see the Deen gain victory. Wa'iyadu billah. The Shaykh Hamdulillah Ta'ala, he goes on to the second type of Nifaq. The second type of Nifaq. And this is An-Nifaq Al-Amali. This is the Nifaq of actions. Of actions. Naam. وهو عمل الشيء من الأعمال ومن أعمال المنافقين. And this is to do something from the actions of the hypocrites. مع بقاء الإيمان في القلب. Is to do something from the actions of the hypocrites, but the Iman is still present inside of the heart. The iman is still present inside of the heart. Naam. وَهَذَا لَا يُخْرِجُ مِنَ الْمِلَّةِ, and this does not expel a person from the religion. وَلَكِنَّهُ وَسِيلَ إِلَى ذَلِكَ, but it is a means and a road to that. Okay, the minor nifaq doesn't expel a person from the deen, but it is a means towards that. وَصَاحِبُهُ يَكُونُ فِيهِ إِيمَانٌ وَالنِّفَاقٌ, and a person who has these actions of nifaq, you will find that they're a person who will have in them iman and nifaq. وَإِذَا كَثَرْ صَارَ بِسَبَبِهِ مُنَافِقًا خَالِصًا, and if it increases, then he will be a complete hypocrite. If it increases, he will be a complete munafiq. But dalil, and the dalil is the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, أَرْبَعٌ مَنْ كُنَّا فِيهِ كَانَ مُنَافِقًا خَالِصًا. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said there are 4 traits that if a person he has inside of him all 4 of them, then he is a complete hypocrite. He's a complete munafiq. Man kanat. I want you to listen now. I want you to pay close attention, because we have to be on guard from these things. We have to be of those who are concerned about their akhlaq, about their interactions and their mannerisms and so on and so on. We have to be. No doubt. Before we mention these things, no doubt, the sinner from Ahl Sunnah, he is better than the righteous, quote unquote, or avid worshipper from Ahl Bid'ah. You understand? No doubt, the sinner from Ahl Sunnah is better than the avid worshipper from the people of innovation. And the Muslim is better than the kafir. There's no doubt. No doubt about that. Now, however, this does not give the Muslim a free pass to just act the way he want to act. Now, نتوقف للأذان إن شاء الله تعالى. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وبعد. Now, so what we're saying is that no doubt the believer is better than a disbeliever. No doubt the sinner from Ahl Sunnah is better than the avid worshipper from Ahl Bid'ah. No doubt. However, this does not give to Ahl Sunnah a free pass to act how they want to act and so on and so forth. No way. No way. Naam. We make excuses and we try to hide the sins of our brothers and so on and so forth. But at the same time, it is a must that we take stance for lewd and vile behavior, and we don't tolerate it, and we get on the people. Naam. And this is while understanding that the Sunni who falls into these things is better than the Bid'i. But still at the same time, we have to be calling to the outstanding character. So it's not an excuse to just act foolishly because you say I'm upon the Sunnah, so that's it. No. You still have to act accordingly. You still have to act right. But I want you to keep that in mind when we look at some of the characteristics of the hypocrites. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Man kanat fihi khaslatun minhun, kanat fihi khaslatun min an-nifaq hatta yad'aha." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Whoever has a characteristic from these characteristics, then he will have with him a characteristic from hypocrisy until he leaves it off. He will have with him a characteristic from an-nifaq until he abandons it. إِذَا أُتُمِنَ خَانَ. If they are entrusted, they betray the trust. If they are entrusted with something, they betray the trust. So this characteristic or this issue of being entrusted with something. The believer, Naam, and especially the one who he says is upon the sunnah of Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he has to be one who strives to maintain that trust. Who strives to maintain that trust. Naam. Because to be one who betrays the trust when he's given, then this is from the characteristics of who? Munafiq. Also, from the characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, وَإِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبَ. And when he speaks, he lies. When he speaks, he lies. He's a liar. You understand? This characteristic is what? Is from the characteristics of the munafiqun. When he speaks, he lies. This is why lying ain't no joke. Lying is no joke, man. We can't be a people who's used to and who tolerate lying. No. Because this is from the characteristics of the munafiq. And when I mean lying. Ain't no such thing as a white lie, black lie, big lie, little lie, joking lie, serious lie. A lie is a lie. There's no lying even when you're joking. So what just took place a couple of days ago, April Fool's Day or what have you, this is the complete opposite of how a Muslim is supposed to act. You're not allowed to lie just because it's the first day of April. What does that mean? So what's the first day? So April, whatever, Gregorian month. So now you can lie? No. Lying is from the characteristics of who? Of the munafiqeen. You understand? Lying is no joke. And people think, oh, it's just playing. No, you're not. You lying though. You don't lie. Period. Ain't no joking. So I'm joking, so you lying. No. It's a severe warning for people who doing that, making people laugh by lying. Naam. So then it brings you the reality of how a Muslim going to be a comedian. Muslim comedian. Then they had the nerve to say, Allah made me funny. A'udhu billah. What is this nonsense? A'udhu billah. Then the likes of Iqna, Isna, Maghrib, and whoever be honoring these people and people inside their networks, honoring these foolish individuals. No. This ain't no joke, man. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that from the hypocrite, from the characteristics of the hypocrite is what? Either حَدَّثَ كَذَبَ. When he speak, he lies. When he speak, he lies. It's no joke. وَإِذَا عَاهَدَ غَدَرَ. And when he has a contract, he breaks it. When he take a contract, he breaks it. Be careful. Be careful, brothers. Be careful. You go into a contract, whatever the terms and so on and so forth, you have to fulfill those terms. And of course, we're talking about halal contracts. We ain't talking about don't get no haram contract. When you go into a contract and the terms of that contract are halal, you have to fulfill that contract to the best of your ability. You have to fulfill the terms of that contract. It's no joke. I just break it, nix it. No. You understand? Brothers got to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You take a contract to rent a house, right? Or to rent an apartment. You get it, I'm just going to break out on the lease and then forget it. Then don't pay it? Astaghfirullah, what you doing? But you got people like that. They don't want we found somewhere else. We out. Take me to credit. I don't care. We don't deal with credit anyway. I don't care if I got a bad credit score. It's not about your credit score. You took an agreement that you're going to live in this place for X amount of months. And were you to leave, then you will leave upon these conditions where you pay these penalties and so on and so forth. But now you want to break the contract. You don't want to pay the penalties. Then on top of that, you're not paying the rent. You stiffen them on the rent too. You think that's from Islam? No. That's how the munafiq he act. When he take a contract, he break it. It's not good, man. وَإِذَا خَاصَمَ فَجَرًا. And when he argues, he gets belligerent. When he argues, he gets nasty and belligerent. You understand? These are evil characteristics. A person is arguing, even in the heat of an argument. That's why we have the guys from the Sunnah that do what? You be quiet. Because you know we human beings. You get mad sometimes and you're angry, you might say some crazy stuff. Because you're a human being. So what are you supposed to do? Get quiet. Save yourself, man. Shut your tongue down. Stop talking. Walk away. But because the munafiq, when he argue, he get nasty, get belligerent. How many times you see a brother, mashallah, the brother, you see him in a masjid like he just stepped out of Mecca. You get in an altercation, your man straight from the hood in them. Right? You get in an altercation, he says, oh, yeah, I'm saying, his whole slope changed. He developed that northern ghetto slur, the whole nine. He might start cussing, threatening people, all this type of stuff. This is horrible. This is horrible. You have to be careful. Got to be careful. And it's no excuse that you accepted Islam a little while ago. You had people been Muslim like 20 years talking about, you know, I'm just out of Jahiliyyah. What does that mean? So you can act like a fool? You just left Jahiliyyah, so that gives you a right to act like a fool? No. You have to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because acting like that, that's from what? That's from the characteristics of the hypocrites. So you have to be what? You have to be careful. You have to be careful in how you act and how you interact. You have to be careful. If you get into a situation and you know yourself, you know you have a fiery a personality and so on and so forth, you know you might get loud on the person real fast and it might escalate and so on and so forth, then fear Allah, control yourself and be quiet. Shut it down. Shut it down so you can come at it right. That's what you have to do. If you know you're one of them people who can't argue, you know that about yourself. You're one of them people in Jahiliyyah, somebody start arguing with you, boom, you hit them. If you know that's the kind of person you are, don't be arguing with nobody. Don't argue. If you know that you're liable to swing on somebody, don't argue with them. Because then you can't come and say, Ma'alish, I knocked his teeth out, but you know I just became Muslim. When? Well, like 5 years ago. Come on, man. You understand? We have to control our behavior. And we have to look at it from this standpoint. Because you understand that that which is in the heart, it manifests upon the limbs. This is why the believers are concerned about their iman. They're concerned about preserving their iman. This is why you think we don't be around Ahlul Bid'ah. Because our heart is not in our control. They may say something and twist our heart up, and now our heart is leaning towards Bid'ah. Now we all jacked up. So we try to safeguard our heart. From safeguarding our heart is to make sure that you self-evaluate and you expel those evil things that may still be in your heart. You expel them and you replace them with what? With Islam. So if you find that you have some still bad characteristics, then you want to try to shake those characteristics and replace them with what? With the Islamic characteristics. So if you realize that you may have some tendencies to fall into these things, then that's the door you want to be on guard in to make sure you don't fall into these things that are from the characteristics of the hypocrites. You understand? This is a struggle. This is a fight. And this is why the Sahaba, they were all scared about nifaq from themselves. Nobody feel like he's safe from hypocrisy except a hypocrite. The munafiq, he's the only one that be like, no, I can never be a munafiq. Impossible. Only the munafiq to say that. For as the believer, you say maybe, and you got some nifaq with you. The believer, you say, you know what, maybe. He starts evaluating to make sure. When I argue, do I get real nasty and belligerent and start acting niggardly? The believer question himself. Do I see contracts as of no value? I just breaking them? Do I take oaths with people and I just be breaking the oaths? Am I a liar? Always lying on my lips? The believer, he think. The believer, he thinks. So it's important, ibad, that we really focusing on these things for ourselves, so that we can shake these evil traits and characteristics if we happen to see that they are with us. This particular hadith is muttafaqun alayh. It's agreed upon by Bukhaari and Muslim. Shaykh Fawzan, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, فمن اجتمعت فيه هذه الخصال الأربع فقد اجتمع فيه شر. He said whoever has inside of him these four characteristics, then he will have inside of him he will have brought together evil. نعم. وخلصت فيه نعوت المنافقين, and he would have all of the characteristics inside of him of the hypocrites. He will have all of the hypocrite characteristics inside of him. ومن كانت فيه واحدة منها صار فيه خصلة من النفاق. And whoever has inside of him all of these characteristics, then he will have, whoever has inside of him one of these characteristics, then he will have one characteristic of nifaq in him. فإنه قد يجتمع في عبد خصال الخير والخصال الشر. He said because it is possible that you will have simultaneously inside of a slave good characteristics and bad characteristics. خصال الإيمان وخصال الكفر والنفاق. It's possible simultaneously a person will have characteristics of iman and characteristics of kufr and nifaq, of disbelief and hypocrisy. ويستحق من ثواب والعقاب بحسب ما قام به من موجبات ذلك. He said, so thus a person of this rank, he will be one who will be deserving to be rewarded, and he will be one who is deserving of being punished as relates or in the appropriation or to the extent of what he has in him that necessitates that. That what he has in him that necessitates that. The Shaykh Hafidhahullah Ta'ala, he goes on to mention another characteristic of nifaq, and then to go over the difference between nifaq al-akbar wa nifaq al-asghar in a summarized fashion, and to deal with the issue of the tawbah of the munafiq. Walakin, we see it good to stop at this point so it's not too long and burdensome upon those who are listening. So we will stop here and pick up from this point bi'idhnillahi ta'ala in the next class, and to take what we're able to take from the following chapters if we're able to reach that. فنكتفي بهذا القدر، وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.